Put your hands together for Mr. Bachchan, and how rarely does an artist get to play himself on screen. Shamitabh looks stunning, sir.
तुम लोग मुझे ढूंढ रहे हो और मैं तुम्हारा यहाँ इंतजार कर रहा हूँ। हाय, हेलो, नमस्कार, खुशामदीद।
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for all these wonderful accolades that the speakers before me have accorded me. I'm least deserving of it, but I'm thankful for Rohit to have invited me here at the release of his book. Rohit couldn't have chosen a better title for this book because it just goes with my feelings. I hate the word Bollywood. And, but having glanced through some pages of the book on my way here, I would like to ask him whether the main protagonist in the film is indeed him or not. Many of the occasions that he has mentioned as incidents in the life of this character are indeed quite similar to some of the experiences that journalists have with film stars. And I wish him all the best. He's been a very humble and an extremely kind gentleman. Most of his episodes with me have been most generous. Sometimes it's difficult for journalists to do that, but I must thank him for this. I wish this book all success, and I hope that he continues to write in the future as well. He's just spreading his wings in all directions. One wishes him all the best for all the work that he's done so far, particularly in the field of journalism, not just in writing, in his interviews and now on television, and then now a writer of this wonderful book. I wish you all success, Rohit, and may you continue to write, and may you continue to prosper. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for having me here today.
May I please invite on stage Mr. G, Ajay Mago, and let's finally release the book of, like Mr. Bachchan said, the protagonist who started with hate but had a huge love story eventually. I think anyone and everyone who belongs to media should have a copy. Yeah. You yet?
Yeah, I will come.
It's very hard to be balanced about something we feel emotionally about as Bollywood. And there's one man we all respect and look up to, who is the entertainment editor at CNN IBN, a fantastic critic and a fellow number 4, considering I'm a bit of a numerologist. It's wonderful to have you here.
The Indian film industry is quite big, quite important, and sufficient to describe our industry. I don't think we need to borrow any kind of other sentiments from other parts of the world to describe our cinema. We have great pride in the fact that I'm a very small member of this wonderful fraternity. I think the Indian film industry is, whether we like it or not, has become almost a parallel culture of our nation. Many believe that it is Hollywood that is seen by a large number of people, but I may be wrong here, but some statistics that were given to me some time back actually stated that 3.2 billion people watch Hollywood and 3.8 billion watch Indian cinema. So in some ways we are ahead of them, and I hope we can continue to be that way. So I feel that why imitate somebody else? And I'm sorry for bringing this up, but you know, when you see my film Shamitabh, you will find incidents of this as well in the film. Thank you.
Okay. We're looking forward, of course, to watching that film, Mr. Bachchan. Rohit, one of the things you've written about in the book is covering the hospital beat, or what journalists describe as that job when you're meant to report live coverage when celebrities are admitted in hospital. You've written about covering, reporting from Leelavati Hospital when Mr. Bachchan had a health scare a few years ago. You've spoken about how journalists bond at such occasions. They bond over lunch at a nearby restaurant. The question I have to ask you is, do you find that as journalists we tend to become desensitized towards film stars? We tend to see them just as stories and not as human beings and people who face challenges and health scares.
We are the most insensitive people on earth. So we are, no doubt about that. So sorry I'm bringing this up, but yeah, when celebrities are at the hospital, small example, if Sir is in the hospital and we see Abhishek going inside, wonder why he didn't speak to us. We don't realize that it's his father inside. We just feel, oh, he didn't speak to us. A lot of media members, we do feel, but yeah, we are very insensitive. We should change that. We should bond at better places and not outside hospitals.
I just feel that it's a very sensitive moment when someone is ill. Whereas I shall respect the right of the journalist in the freedom of expression that he has, and I respect that. But sometimes the sensitivity of the moment and the emotions that run with the people that are involved needs to be understood. There have been many occasions, unfortunately, when I've had to be in hospital. And what happens at times is that it has taken almost 20 minutes for me to come out of the ambulance and be taken to the ICU, purely because the gates of the ambulance could not open because the photographers and the journalists were actually blocking it. And if there are emotions expressed by members of the family at that point of time, that needs to be understood a bit. But I had another surprising incident when I was on another occasion in the hospital. When I was in the ICU, after a couple of days, Jaya, who had also taken a room in the hospital for the family to live in, suddenly walked down one morning and said, why are you giving interviews from the ICU? So I said, no, I'm not doing any interviews. He said, no, but the whole media is writing what you're wearing, what you're doing, what you were saying. I said, I haven't done anything of the sort. It was actually a very enterprising journalist who dressed up as a doctor, put a stethoscope around their neck, walked into the ICU, came and said hello to me, and I responded, said hello, and she said, how are you feeling? I said, I'm fine. I said, are you a doctor? She said, yes. And that's it. And she went and reported outside. Sometimes it's a little intrusive, but also doesn't speak very well for the security of the hospital. But yeah, I would look upon it as lightheartedness. The management of the media company that sent her in was actually quite proud of her. Said, I really appreciate the fact that you had the guts to go in there. But these are some of the things that happen. But most of the times, I think the media has been very sensitive towards such occasions.
Mr. Bachchan, this is a book about the life and times of a film journalist. It talks about the various experiences of meeting with actors and covering the beat of journalism. Do you remember, you've been an actor for so many years now, do you remember, is it fair to ask you to jog your memory and ask you if you remember the first interview that you gave? Do you have any memory of that? To whom, when?
Yes, I do. I did a few interviews before actually joining films, but that's best forgotten. When I came into the movies, I think the first interview I did was with Devi from Star and Style.
Devyani Chopal.
Devyani Chopal, yes.
Rohit, Hindi film stars have their own standard time. I'm a little embarrassed to say this in front of Mr. Bachchan because he, of course, has a reputation for being extremely punctual to a fault, in fact. But, as journalists, you recognize that we tend to, and there are many media persons in the room today. We tend to exchange stories and about how long did you have to wait for so-and-so. What was the time that you know, famously, I know we've all done interviews with Shah Rukh well in the night. We've woken up at the crack of dawn to do an interview with Akshay Kumar. What's your record been?
2 days for Shah Rukh. Yeah. So, yeah, 2 days. One full day I waited, didn't get an interview. Next day I was called, got it late in the evening. So yeah, 2 days. But yeah, I have to say, you know, I've attended hundreds of events like in the past 15 years. I don't think you've been late, but I do remember just one incident, but I saw you running inside when Mr. Prakash Mehra was being honored. That was at Palm Grove Hotel in Juhu. You were just about 3 minutes late maybe, but I saw you coming running inside and he told you, Lala, aaj tu late ho gaya.
Is it hard to be on time permanently, Mr. Bachchan? You have to give us some tips.
Yeah, you'll have to control the Bombay traffic for that. You know, I left at about 7:30 from Marriott, where I was doing interviews, ironically, with the media for the promotion of my film. But we somehow make it. I think you just have to respect the invitation and the intention with which it has invited other people rather than yourself. And I'm sure that people that come on time will appreciate the fact that it's not correct and ethical to keep you waiting when the main chief guest is going to be late. So these are some of the things that you grow up with, I think. The kind of upbringing you have with your parents, the kind of school you attended, and the punishment that you received if you weren't on time for a particular event. I think that keeps growing inside you. It's nothing special, but I just like to maintain that.
And finally, because I know that there are other questions from the room, Mr. Bachchan, yesterday, in case people don't know, yesterday was actually 40 years since the release of Deewaar, which is really one of your most brilliant films and one that most of us here, I would take the liberty to say all of us here, have thoroughly enjoyed and watched over and over again. You've said, in fact, that it is the most complete script. Looking back, you think of it as the most complete script. What are your memories of making that film?
Oh gosh, it's a long story. I don't think that we have sufficient time this evening for me to narrate all that. But yes, I do believe that it was one of the most perfect scripts. For me, at least, the most perfect script that was written. It really is difficult to find fault in the scripting. Salim Saab and Javed Saab were absolutely brilliant in that. It almost, well, I won't say that it wasn't in a situation where it wouldn't be made, but it could have been delayed. I was already working with Yash ji on a film, Yash Chopra. And we'd already been 7 or 8 days into the schedule when Salim Saab and Javed Saab came to me to narrate the script. And we enjoyed it, I enjoyed it, and they wanted Yash Chopra to direct it. And so I called him and he said, okay, we'll think about it. Let me finish this film and then maybe we can. So I said, you know, maybe you want to hear this script and perhaps change your mind. And that is exactly what happened when we narrated the script. He did, in fact, drop that subject, drop that film, and we started on Deewaar. The other thing that I liked about the fact of Yashji was that many of them, or many of people don't know that Deewaar and Kabhi Kabhi were two films that were shot simultaneously. And that really shows the acumen of somebody like Yash Chopra for making two different kinds of films, absolutely, too distant from each other. Right in the middle of the schedule of Deewaar, we took a month out and we, in the month of October, November, shot Kabhi Kabhi in Kashmir, and we came back and finished Deewaar. So that's all credit to Mr. Yash Chopra and his genius.
Thank you, thank you. We have time for about 3 questions from the room. If someone has a question, they can raise their hand and we'll send a mic. I won't hog the mic. There's a gentleman there at the back. If we can quickly send a mic to the gentleman in the back.
Hello. Amit sir, how would you say entertainment journalism has changed from the 70s to 2015? From a time when there was no PR, there were no publicists, there were no managers, to a time when publicists, PRs and managers control the show today?
I don't know. I don't have publicists and barely have a PR agency, which I've recently been asked to keep, ironically, from a journalist. She told me, I think you need a PR agency, and so I've deployed Parag here, and he looks after everything. I think the medium is largely responsible for that. Times have changed, the way to communicate has changed. There are many more avenues where people can know, have information about you. And I think it's become so complicated that you do need people to manage that whole output. So that's the way things have changed. Initially, there were just one or two magazines that talked about films and cinema, promotions, advertising yourself, advertising the artist or the film, were not so prominent identity. I think artists left it to the film or their work to speak more rather than have journalists being brought on by PR agencies to look after and see what to project and what to highlight. So once the medium changes, I think those changes have taken place. We move along with the times, and as soon as there is more television, more internet, the ability to be able to write about you, to spread the news across, becomes equally important, and that's why the system has changed.
Do we have another question? No? Then I'm going to quickly wrap this up by asking Rohit. Rohit, you've written I Hate Bollywood, but clearly you have what is evidently a love affair with the movies. Is there an I Love Bollywood anytime soon? I think only fair.
I love the Hindi film industry.
Fair.
Next.
Well said. Thank you. Archana, all yours.
I think the story of hate to love has been very often depicted in Hindi cinema, like you said correctly. But Rohit, congratulations once again. Thank you so much, Viswajit, for having us here, and Bachchan Sahab for taking time out. The weather has been nasty, and yet you have graciously spared time for us, and heartfelt wishes for your film, Shamitabh. We're all looking forward to that. Maybe please put our hands together for our chief guest and the wonderful evening that we've had. Thank you, sir.
You know, so और जो आम जनता वहाँ बैठी है वो जो पढ़ती है मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम्स वो उसे सच मानती है. सो एंटरटेनमेंट जर्नलिस्ट का बहुत बहुत बड़ा हाथ होता है, और मैं रोहित को बहुत सालों से जानता हूँ, और रोहित इज़ वेरी वेरी फेयर. यू नो, समटाइम्स आई हैव अ फाइट विद हिम दैट यू वर नॉट biased towards me, but that's what Rohit is all about, and that's why he's here, and that's why you see Bachchan Saab even endorsing him, and I'm really happy that I got the honor to endorse Rohit for his book.
कौन-कौन से तीखे सवाल जो रोहित ने आपसे पूछे थे?
अरे बहुत तीखे पूछे.
कोई एक ऐसा तीखे, कोई एक ऐसा.
बहुत सारे पूछे हैं ऐसे, तो ठीक है, बट सपोर्ट भी बहुत किया है जब सही वक्त आया, जैसे कि फालतू और यंगिस्तान के टाइम पे सपोर्ट भी बहुत किया है, और कल किसने देखा जैसे फिल्मों में बजाया भी है. सो अच्छी बात है, यू नो, तब सही समझ में आता है कि सही दोस्त है और सही जर्नलिस्ट है, और जब भी मुझे फ़ोन करके तारीफ़ करता है, एटलीस्ट ये तो लगता है कि यार दैट मीन्स जेन्युइन काम किया.
आप एक बार कहीं ना कहीं जो जर्नलिस्ट रहते हैं वो सेंसिटिव नहीं रहते.
यू नो, ऑनेस्टली मुझे पहले बहुत बुरा लगता था कि जर्नलिस्ट सेंसिटिव होते हैं या नहीं होते हैं, बट आई डोंट ब्लेम एनीवन. सबका एक नेचर ऑफ जॉब होता है. जैसे मेरा जॉब है, यू नो, फिट रहना, एक्टिंग करना, डांसिंग करना, तो जर्नलिस्ट का जॉब होता है स्टोरीज रिपोर्ट करना. सो आई जस्ट फील दैट, यू नो, it's a part and parcel, and we should not take anything personally here, because you know the show must go on.
आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे?
मैं ये कहना चाहूँगा कि जैकी ने कहा भी कि मैंने उन्हें एक बार बजाया है, बट फिर भी आज वो यहाँ पर है. दैट्स द रियल पर्सन, कि वो भूल जाएंगे कि हमने कभी ऐसा किया था, क्योंकि वो ये बात याद रखेंगे कि हमारा काम हमने किया. वो जो एक्टर वो समझ जाए एक बात कि हम सिर्फ अपना काम कर रहे हैं, हमारी कोई पर्सनल किसी से दुश्मनी नहीं है. ऑब्वियसली हम भी ये इंडस्ट्री का पार्ट है. अगर बॉलीवुड नहीं होता तो हम नहीं होते.
कोई एक ऐसा अनुभव बताएं जो किसी एक्टर के साथ आपकी नोक झोंक हुई हो इंटरव्यू के दौरान.
हाँ यार, कुछ बताओ. हाँ चलो, अच्छे बिहेवियर के बारे में बता दिया. कौन वो बदतमीज़ है? रोहित इतना स्वीट है ना कि उसको कोई बदतमीज लगता ही नहीं होगा।
मेरे साथ किसी ने ऐसा कोई बर्ताव नहीं किया।
बदतमीजी नहीं कोई, हाँ
कुछ ना कुछ रहेगा।
नहीं, मैं आई हेट बॉलीवुड, यू नो, लोगों को लगता है कि अरे पेज 3 पार्टीज इतनी फन होती है, तो मैं नहीं इंजॉय करता था। मैं लोग अपना घर जाता था तो सब बोलते थे अरे शाहरुख खान भी आया था, तो शाहरुख खान तो वहाँ का इधर था, मैं यहाँ खड़ा था, बट एक रिएक्शन जो मिलता था, तो मैं लोगों को ये सच्चाई बताना चाहता था कि आई हेट बॉलीवुड का मतलब ये है कि जो आप लोग को लगता है उतना ग्लैमरस नहीं है ये।
अच्छा, आपने क्या ये मेंशन करने की कोशिश की कि आप
एक्चुअली बिल्कुल ग्लैमरस नहीं,
बिल्कुल ग्लैमरस नहीं
जो है और जो काम करते हैं उनके लिए तो बिल्कुल ग्लैमरस नहीं है। उनके इर्द गिर्द वाले लोगों को शायद ज़्यादा मजा आता है।
आपने ये कहने की कोशिश की कि बॉलीवुड वर्ड आपको नहीं पसंद है, हिंदी फिल्म इंडस्ट्री वर्ड?
देखिए, मुझे सच में मुझे बहुत पसंद है। बॉम्बे और हॉलीवुड का कॉम्बिनेशन है। 2003 में इसको ऑक्सफोर्ड डिक्शनरी में डाला गया। इतना जो भी ये वर्ड लेकर आया, मुझे नहीं पता कौन, वो मार्केटिंग जीनियस होगा, क्योंकि यूथ ने कैप्चर किया, सब बॉलीवुड बोलते हैं, तो ऑब्वियसली इट्स वर्किंग समवेयर। आई लव द वर्ड।
सर, आपको क्या लगता है कि ये क्या बॉलीवुड है या हिंदी फिल्म इंडस्ट्री है?
देखिए, एक सिक्के के दो पहलू हैं। अभी आप इस तरफ से देखो तो बॉलीवुड है, उस तरफ से देखो तो हिंदी फिल्म इंडस्ट्री है। मेरा ये मानना है कि जो भी अच्छा लगता है, आपको अच्छा लगे, बस फिल्में देखने पहुंच जाया करो, वो ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट।
बच्चन साहब ने भी कहा कि मुझे भी वो वर्ड पसंद नहीं है, बॉलीवुड।
सी बच्चन साहब बहुत सीनियर हैं और ऑब्वियसली बॉलीवुड एक हॉलीवुड का स्लैंग है, तो अगर आप उस तरीके से देखें तो ऑब्वियसली कभी किसी का कॉपी नहीं करना चाहिए, और बच्चन साहब ने आज तक किसी का कॉपी नहीं किया। बच्चन साहब के लोग कॉपी करते हैं, तो ऑब्वियसली हिंदी फिल्म इंडस्ट्री इज़ द फर्स्ट वर्ड, बट बिकॉज आजकल जैसे बोलते हैं कि गूगल कर लो, ये कर लो, फेसबुक कर लो, तो बॉलीवुड एक ऐसा यंग स्लैंग वर्ड है।
चलिए, थैंक यू
थैंक यू सो मच।